What's good, everybody? This is Whole Views, and you are now watching The Whole Week, the show where we run down all the TV, movie, trailer, entertainment, news, and stories that came to us in this past week. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm going to be running down the topics that I felt were noteworthy this week, and I'm going to just be real. To me, this week was a real slow week. I did not get as many stories as I would like to have gotten that were really interesting, so this might be a shorter episode and installment. But let's go ahead and get into the things that I do feel like were worthy of being discussed. Starting off this week with the casting of Lucy Liu as the main villain in the Shazam film. Now, you may know from previous videos, and I'll probably roll in some film at this time, of all my comics. I have access to my father's comics that were authentically purchased at the time of, you know, the classic golden age comics coming out. He has comics from the 1960s, I want to say the 60s, 70s, 80s, a few in the 90s, and then it really kind of fizzles out at that point. And over the course of my father collecting and trading comics with his brothers and, you know, friends in the neighborhood, that's what they would do, trade comics. He has acquired probably the most trash collection of comics when it relates to that movie adaptation stuff. So while Lucy Liu has been cast as the main villain in Shazam, I don't have one Captain Marvel Shazam comic as a point of reference. Not one. And I want to say he's knocking on over 1,000. I want to say it's either 1,000 or more he has. And I have access to them, and I went through them and I found nothing. So I don't really have a lot of insider knowledge about her casting and the villain that she'll be playing. All I know is that, first, I'm excited to hear that there's a Shazam 2 in production. That's a great thing. Secondly, it's always a good thing to see diversity in a cast. So it's good that she's cast for that reason. But outside of that, I don't have much context to add to that story. But alas, it is noteworthy, and I'm glad that she got the role. Looking forward to seeing some promotional material for that. Moving right along into topic number 2 is something I feel like is very controversial. I would love for people to weigh in on this topic of the recasting of Chadwick Boseman. Now listen, Marvel has already come out several times and say that there is no recasting schedule. Like, they're not planning to put someone else in the role of T'Challa. They will just move on from him and tell different stories out of Wakanda. I feel like that is actually the best move to be making, but there's a contingency of fans that was reported on by Cinema Blend, that there's a contingency of fans that have started an online petition to get T'Challa recast so we can continue to get stories centered around him as a character. I don't like it. I don't like it. I am not one of the people who would sign such a petition, nor am I one of those people who want to see someone else take up the mantle of Black Panther and continue along as T'Challa. I think we trust the writers, Ryan Coogler. I think we trust the vision of Kevin Feige, and we accept whatever they do. But I know if I had my own way, I would not choose to recast Chadwick Boseman. The man's too good of an actor. He owned the role. He was dedicated to perfecting that accent and like maintaining character and just bringing a whole lot of style and skill to the role. Like, I just can't see anyone else filling those shoes. Nor do I want to see anyone else even attempt to fill those shoes. Let's just leave it how it is and trust that these guys are going to give us a good product on the back end. That's where I stand. Where do you stand? Do you want to see more stories from T'Challa, just a different actor in the role? I wouldn't be mad at it, but only if it's a decision that came from Feige. I wouldn't want that to be something that fans pressured a studio into making. Although Marvel does not seem like the type of studio to be pressured into anything. Disney kind of does their thing. And I trust them. I'd rather trust them than have like a fan base driven change. On to the next topic. I want to talk about the trailers for this week. Now, I reviewed quite a few trailers and did reactions to a few trailers. I want to say we did The Army of the Dead, we did Hitman's Wife, and then we did the flashback trailer. Now, there's actually at least 2 or 3 more that I know of that were out that were a big deal. If I'm in a rush trying to pull these up, I know that there was one about like Riders of Justice. I didn't watch that one because I heard it was a foreign film. I know it's starring Mads Mikkelsen, so I didn't watch that. Don't know anything about that. And then there's another one about water or something like that. I don't want to lie. I don't have access to it, but there's another pretty big trailer that came out with a lot of big names attached to it. I did not watch or review that one either. And there was also the Fast 9 trailer, but we'll talk about Fast 9 later. Of the trailers that we did review here and react to on the channel, I would have to say Army of the Dead stands out as the best trailer that we've seen this week, the best promotional material that I saw this week. I think when I look at my list of things that I'm most excited about, Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard is up there, but not having seen the original kind of takes a little bit of the steam off it for me. Army of the Dead is Zack Snyder doing zombies again. Hype about that. Also, Zack Snyder, who proved that his version of Justice League was far superior than, you know, anything that we got in the theaters, and that if he's left to his own devices, the man can still make a very entertaining film. So, Army of the Dead, I would have to say, best trailer of the ones that we went through. I think Flashback has the biggest potential for flopping. Like I said, I immediately thought of Synchronic. I talked with my executive producer, just, you know, through casual conversation. He thought of Butterfly Effect. I said, definitely right. I could see problems come from that film. Who knows? But that's the one I think that's probably lowest on the tier that I've seen. And Hitman Bodyguard kind of falling like right in the middle of that. Level of excitement is there, but not as much as Army of the Dead. So those are our little trailer recap for the week. Moving right along into the next topic, which is the Fast 9 trailer. The trailer that I did not review and did not talk about. The reason why I decided to give Fast 9 to me its whole segment is because of the level of ridiculousness that exists now with Fast 9. It's like, we're on number 9, y'all. Like, I feel like while these movies have become more and more entertaining with each iteration, at the same time, they've gotten more and more ridiculous with each iteration. And I'm just in a place where I'm not going to watch any promotional material for it. I am not going to get excited for it. When it comes out, I will watch it some type of way. But these movies are just, it's like you're taking everything that is summer and you're just rolling it into a ball and saying, here, this is a movie now. It's like they figure out a way to include cars in everyone. But outside of that, this is just an action franchise. I think the franchise tried to reinvent itself with 5 and make it more action. And that was cool. And, you know, step away from the cars. But at this point, you got Han coming back. I seen a poster for that. And I was like, man, we almost MCU level as far as like just fantasy. So I don't know. I didn't watch it because I don't feel like it's even worth it. When it comes out, I'll take a look at it. But these things are kind of vehicles on their own. Like, it doesn't need much steam behind it. People will go and people will look at it because it's a big popcorn action spectacle. So I feel like there's no reason to even watch it, break it down, talk about it. It's gonna do what it's gonna do regardless. And I figure this will be a hit with people. Money-wise, it'll be a hit. Maybe critics won't like it, but I don't think critics' opinion matter too much. People are gonna go watch it and enjoy seeing Tyrese scream as Ludacris flies a car into space. Like, that's, or, you know, break the atmosphere or something. They're gonna do something. I know it's gonna happen. So no need to even look at it. Just watch it when it come out. It's kind of how I feel. One thing that's noteworthy to talk about here is the movie Nobody, which is, you know, next topic. Nobody came out, And I'll just, do my review and roll it into its own video on its own here. But Nobody was a damn good movie. Like, I knew that it would be good from watching the trailers. This is one I didn't do a reaction to, and I wish I had, because it took me very much by surprise when I watched the original red band and green band trailers. Looking at the show, the movie itself, it was John Wick-esque, reminiscent of Eraser with Denzel Washington. It's just the level of seriousness was mixed between those two, and then you have a lot of comedic effect in there as well. I thought the movie was great most of the way through. There was a lot of intrigue created by RZA's character. Spoilers, by the way, I don't know if you knew, but RZA is in this movie, and I like the role he plays up until the end. Christopher Lloyd is also in this movie. I was so excited to see Christopher Lloyd in the nursing home. It was great to see. I enjoyed his role, and I enjoyed everything he did up to a certain point. And the movie was very believable and grounded up to a certain point. And when you get to that point where it's no longer believable, I would have to just go ahead and say it at this point, is the final gun battle. For me, the presence of Christopher Lloyd in that battle was too much. The presence of RZA, like as heavily as he was present in that, was to me too much. It took me out of, and not the whole thing. There was, specific parts of that took me out of the experience of watching the movie, and it made me kind of realize, like, okay, we have stepped beyond the boundaries of reality at this point. We are now in action comedy movie territory here. And it wasn't bad. It wasn't horrible. It just was like, we went from being believable CIA action movie badass to cartoony, zany, totally unbelievable CIA operative badass movie. Like, it added an element to the end that I didn't all the way enjoy. But I think it was very well written, very well written up until that point. I liked the character, how he really seemed, Hutch is his name, felt so willing to adapt to this life that he was willing even to allow himself to be robbed. Like, I'm just gonna let this happen because I don't want to hit that switch. But when he hits the switch, it's like something comes alive and he can't shut it down. And that was very entertaining to see the whole way through. And it wasn't until you take Christopher Lloyd out of the nursing home and put him in the middle of that gunfight, it's like, this feels wrong. RZA, great on the phone. First few shots that he showed up in the final gun battle, I was like, ooh, good stuff. But there's a part, and I think anybody who's seen the movie so far, you'll know which part I'm talking about, when they all kind of group up and it's like, I feel like people should be getting shot here. Like, multiple people should die if we continuing down the path that we've continued down. Because again, John Wick levels of hand to hand, but the realism in it is that our main character got beat up quite a bit in this movie. He got knocked around. Unlike John Wick, unlike Denzel in the Eraser films. So the realism was there, and again, all the way up to that point at the end, and it was like, we were so real. It was so believable up until here. So, not a bad movie though. I would probably give it a strong 7. Borderline 8, save for that final gun battle. Everything else to me was magnificent. Very good, very well, very fun movie. Now again, not on the same levels as, like a Judas and the Black Messiah, a Ma Rainey, something like that. Absolutely not. But for a summer fun action movie, action comedy, extremely well done, extremely likable. There were some things outside of that final scene, like the wife, we don't know how much, it was so ambiguous about how much she knew or didn't know about her husband's life. That could have been done better. But It's very small. I like the movie. I like the movie a lot. Wouldn't mind putting it on again in the background. If it wasn't so hard R, it could definitely play in the background, but being what it was very good. Moving right along to the winner of the week, guess what? We don't have one this week. I don't feel like, of all the news that dropped and all the different things that people talk about on their other shows, I haven't seen anything that really stood out and captured the nation's attention as like, this is the thing that everyone is talking about, or this is the thing that shocked the movie world, or it's this big reverberating news where somebody really came up. I don't see it. I don't see it here. And I'm sure it won't be the only week where we don't have a true clear winner of the week. If I thought about giving it to the Fast and the Furious franchise for generating a buzz that was quite big on the day the trailer dropped, but it, to me, in my feeds, the social media feeds that I have, it dissipated very quickly. Like, people talked about it a day, the next day, that was it. In previous installments, when I did this, people kind of lingered on the idea of these deals that came out, or the Satan Shoes thing from a few weeks ago, although that's old news now as well. So, not necessarily a clear-cut winner this week, but it was a decent week in movies and television. We will be doing a look back at the Mortal Kombat franchise starting this week, with anticipation of Mortal Kombat coming next week. So stick around the channel for those things. Be on the lookout for more trailer reactions and just different chats and things like that I'll be dropping here on the channel. So subscribe again if you haven't. Enjoy yourself, guard your heart. Come back and watch more videos. And thank you for riding with the whole week.